What is happening, y'all? It is about 2 in the morning, so I'm a little sleep deprived and a little delirious, but I'm determined to record a quick reaction and review for episode 1 of season 3 of Fargo. Now, I resisted watching this show for a very long time due to my loyalty and love for the original Coen Brothers movie, which I think is an absolute masterpiece in terms of music, screenwriting, acting, place. It's extraordinary. So I just felt a disproportionate level of loyalty and just ignored everybody as they told me season 1 and season 2 of Fargo were terrific. I recently bit the bullet, got caught up, and I was floored. Not only by how season 1 found a way to tie into the movie with where the money is buried from Steve Buscemi's character, but just how well they nailed that sense of atmosphere and the quirky dialogue, but the severe, intense brutality underlying all these stories. I mean, the Fargo world is a world of crime. It's crime fiction, it's crime movies, it's film noir, whatever you want to call it. It's hard-boiled fiction, but it also has this warmth and humanity, and there's something just really, really beautiful about the tone that these shows and movie have managed to capture. And it looks as if season 3 is going to pick up right where season 1 left off, because it takes place in 2011 in Minnesota, and unlike season 2, which was from the 70s and not really during the winter. I mean, I love season 2. I thought season 2 might have even been stronger than season 1 if you just want a great, huge, epic crime saga. It just was an extraordinary season of television in so many ways. But Fargo definitely feels like we're back on familiar footing, where somebody who has money troubles sets in motion a series of events. They're going to have horrible, dire, unintended consequences, and that is the essence of Fargo. It should be noted that Noah Hawley is back to write and direct the first episode. Noah Hawley is one of the principal voices involved in the show and what has made it such a success to date. We have the great Ewan McGregor playing 2 lead parts. We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead. We've got so many great actors. We got David Thewlis, Carrie Coon. I mean, the cast this go around is just extraordinary. I love Carrie Coon from The Leftovers, but David Thewlis, he's just a world-class British actor, has been around forever. But Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's one of those actresses, if you can get her for your show or your movie, you get her, because in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and so many other films, she's just, I mean, she is an A-list talent who has never quite achieved A-list status, but hopefully the show will help remedy that, because she is just on fire in this. How can I go about describing the plot? I mean, if you love the show, you don't need me to describe the entire plot, and if you saw this first episode, you don't need that, but I'm just going to focus on what I love, and because with a crime saga, with a lot of zigs and zags and intricate detail, trying to do a complete recap would just take... It would be as long as watching the show itself, which is a waste of my time and yours. But I do want to call attention to some of the things in this episode that worked really, really well. First and foremost, Ewan McGregor as the brothers Emmett and Ray Stussy, or Stussy. I'm not quite sure about the pronunciation. He's incredible. He's pretty much nailing the accent. Maybe not as well as Martin Freeman did in season 1, but I always love seeing English actors, or Scottish actors in this case, tackle American accents. They always seem to have this incredible craft to it. But these 2 brothers, they resent the hell out of each other because one is rich, one is not. And it all boils down to when they separated their father's belongings upon his death. One took a car and one took a book of stamps. And the book of stamps turned out to be really, really valuable. And now the poor one, who works as, I believe, a bail bondsman, he needs money because he is in love with a crook named Nikki Swango, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And they are deeply in love, and they basically 2 peas in a pod. They love playing bridge together. They want to build a life together. And so they just need money to get going. So your heart goes out to them because their romance feels so sincere and so warm, but also the fact that it's basically against the law for them to be involved due to the fact that they're on 2 different sides of the law in the workplace where they met. It makes you root for them all the more. And when Emmett refuses to give Ray some money for a ring, Ray decides that he's going to hire a stoner who's just out of jail to rob a stamp from his brother. Of course, the stoner loses the directions and goes and robs the wrong place and kills an old man. More to come on that in a little bit. But what's great about when he loses the directions is that it's a dark night, barren wasteland, full of snow, the red of the headlights. I mean, when you think of Fargo, you think of that first night where Steve Buscemi's character gets pulled over in the film and he ends up shooting a cop and then chasing down some witnesses and killing them as well. It's what gets everything underway in that movie. But that is the atmosphere of Fargo. Nighttime, snow, red lights. It's the essence of Fargo, and we get a taste of that in this episode. What the stoner doesn't realize, though, is that this person that he has robbed and killed, he is a person who's very near and dear to the chief of police, who's played by Carrie Coon. Her name is Gloria Burgle, and she looks to be yet another female heroine in the tradition. Frances McDormand's character in the original film. That Fargo's kind of at its best when you have cool, badass female cops investigating a crime. So while we don't have much on her character yet, I have a feeling she's going to be the main heroine to the show, because the two male leads played by Ewan McGregor are pretty unsavory characters. Also, there's a little plot detail that I didn't quite understand, but we'll get more to come on that in future episodes, I'm sure, where she finds this box hidden in the floor, and it's got these books that match a figurine. I wasn't quite able to piece all that together, but I'm not going to worry about that much. At any rate, she looks like she'll be a great hero. But what I really loved about this episode was just watching Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, Nikki, interact with Ewan McGregor's character, Ray. And they're just hanging out in the bathtub, and they're celebrating that they got third place at this bridge tournament, and just how well they get along. And their love seems so sincere. Of course, the stoner comes in to report his botched robbery and all the things that he did wrong along the way. And when Ray gets in his face about it, the stoner pulls a gun. And then in the show-stopping moment of the episode, Mary Elizabeth Winstead stands up from the bathtub, stark naked, looking like an absolute goddess. But her goal is not to titillate the viewer or the audience, even though she does. The goal is to distract the crook long enough for Ray to make his move. Of course, Ray totally fucks it up, and the guy ends up keeping his gun. But Nikki thinks quickly on her feet. She rushes to the door. They wait for the moment. They shove an air conditioning unit out of the window, and in spectacular fashion, it lands on its head, sending his skull and brain splattering in all directions. So, yeah, no matter what happens over the next 9 episodes, I'm all in on Nikki Swango. She's beautiful, she's resourceful, she's smart, she's kind of dangerous, she's a criminal. I think she's going to be perhaps the most interesting character on the show. Now, the quote-unquote good brother who's successful, he's not completely clean either. I mean, Emmett, he and his partner in crime, played by Michael Stuhlbarg, Cy Feltz, they borrowed $1 million from an unsavory character recently for their business. Of course, that unsavory character doesn't look at it as a loan. He looks at it as an investment, because what he really wants is for his organization to have a company to launder money through. So it looks as if Emmett's going to have his hands full on that front as well. But David Thewlis is just firing on all cylinders. He's a world-class British actor, and the acting talent in this season is off the charts. So yeah, there are tons of moving pieces. It should also be remembered that the stoner's directions to rob the stamp from Emmett, he left the directions out in the snow. I'm sure that little detail will rear its ugly head again. And it's beautiful to watch, like a giant jigsaw puzzle, all the pieces coming together on these crime stories. And there's something about the style and approach of Fargo that elevates these stories above your typical crime sagas. I mean, there's so many crime sagas that get put on TV, whether it's, cops in any sort of scenario you can imagine, but there's only one Fargo. And what I really love is that they do standalone seasons that are at most loosely connected. I mean, there's little hints and details that connect the different seasons in the movie, but you can just come in cold and just start watching Fargo Season 3 and have a blast, or just start watching Fargo Season 2 and have an absolute blast. I think sometimes with these shows, when someone thinks about maybe trying to get caught up on Walking Dead, like, oh my god, I gotta watch 6-7 seasons of Walking Dead, that's insane. Fuck that. With Fargo, everyone's invited to the party. If you like great acting, great writing, great humor, and just great crime stories, Fargo is your jam. So yeah, this episode 1, The Law of Vacant Places, huge thumbs up. Can't wait for next week. I'm going to be glued to my screen for the next 9 episodes. And yeah, can't recommend these 3 seasons of television enough. So hope you enjoyed this reaction video. Hope you enjoyed this review. Please subscribe to my channel. And let me know what you think about some of those areas of the plot where I was a little vague on the details, because I imagine there'll be a lot of theories. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And so long.